Hello, welcome to the INACAC video series. Today we're talking with two of our amazing co-chairs of the Conference Planning Committee. I, as always, am Janiyah Downing. I'm the president of this wonderful organization, the Indiana Association for College Admissions Counseling, and our two co-chairs are...
I'm Angie Huffman, General Chair of 2021 Conference, woohoo! And I share that prestige of committee work with my colleague here.
Hi everyone, my name is Levi Lawson. As Angie said, I am also co-chair for the conference committee. So excited about 2021, just planning that. And I'm at Ball State. So.
Awesome. And for those of people who are new to this profession or INACAC, really conference is just like the crown jewel of what we do. It's a chance for networking, for people to get together, for professional development, for all of the exciting parts of our career kind of come together in a couple of days during a conference. So before we go any further, can you just kind of talk about what your committee does when it comes to planning the conference?
Sure, I'll start and then Levi jump in where I don't, whatever gaps I make there. So conference committee, our responsibility is to get everything organized and planned with regard to sessions, with regard to location, be on-site liaisons once the conference starts, but any of the communication that rolls out in previous to conference, registration, the committee takes care of all of that.
Yeah, so just to kind of echo what Angie said, I think our biggest goal in terms of conference is to just have a wide array of different opportunities for people to learn, different opportunities to network, but also have current trends that are going on within our our profession, and make sure that we are just giving as much representation as possible and as being as helpful as possible in the conference setting, and just doing our best to make sure members feel welcomed. And to make sure that obviously this year is going to look a little different than past and future, but just make sure in terms of this year, everything is easily accessible, it's organized, and the quality of what we present is one of our main focuses.
To add to that, conference committee itself is about 20 to 25 individuals and then 2 chairs.
That's awesome. And actually, you just kind of cued right into the next question. When people think about getting involved, what's a good type of person to want to join this committee? Like when you think about what you all do and the challenges of being on this committee and the fun parts and like what really drives you. So why would others want to join this phenomenal committee?
First of all, it's a good professional connection. And like you, Janiyah, had said earlier about conference, just how it is a culmination of everything that we do in one space at one time of the year. So to be involved in that is, first of all, an uplifting process. It's good experience, and it gets you connected when you're not sure, when you're new and you're not really familiar with people and faces. You learn them really quickly when you go through a conference registration, or when you're trying to find session presenters. You definitely get a good education of INACAC members and what kind of needs we have overall as an organization. So it's a great way to begin your journey with professional connections and development, but even a more experienced person out there looking to give of themselves in some way. The conference committee is a good spot to land because we really need all kinds of resources and voices on the committee to get good feedback, to know what Levi had mentioned about what we need as a conference committee, great sessions, things that are going to be relevant to our audience, things that are going to help move us forward in our work. So all different type of representation is needed in that conference committee, even though your role may not be huge within the committee itself, your voice is definitely needed.
Yeah, I mean, Angie hit all the main points and did a really good job there.
She's good. She's really good.
Yeah, I'll just speak to kind of my own personal situation. My background isn't necessarily in admissions, higher education, student affairs. So when I came into this profession, I was looking for ways to get involved. I was fresh to it, so I didn't necessarily know one of my colleagues was originally in charge of the silent auction, kind of pushed that off on me. So I kind of took that over for him. It ended up being a great experience and a great way for me to network my first year as an admissions professional. And it kind of has obviously blossomed into this, but there are little ways all throughout the association, but specifically looking at our conference committee, there are little ways within our committee that allow for those newcomers to get involved and network and take on these new responsibilities to see if, okay, is this something that I want to be involved with?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I fully echo what you guys are saying about being involved. And it just seems like this is a committee that you can do a lot of things. And there's like, you have those really stressful days where like leading up to committee and you're like, oh my gosh, we're almost there and this is so tough. But then you have those really cool days where conference comes together and people are excited and you get to, so can you kind of talk about that? Like what are the best days in this committee look like? And then what are some of the like challenging days being a part of this committee look like?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Let me start with the fun stuff first. Like just the time of conference and seeing people in our organization take advantage of great sessions, seeing different members doing presentations, just seeing camaraderie and that connectedness is really exciting and really a motivation to be a part of this effort through INACAC. And then the struggle days, it's not necessarily struggle, it's like a puzzle. And you work the puzzle all throughout the cycle, right? So once conference is over, which for us is right now in the end of February, once March and April begin, you're starting that cycle over again. And you're just working the puzzle by putting together good communication, getting a call out of a good team together, connecting with maybe some really strong outside resources for speakers and voices that are going to impact a conference in a really cool and unique way, and just keeping that going all the way through. And when something doesn't work out, finding an alternate avenue to fill that, maybe that hole or whatever. So,
yeah, you nailed everything. So, I would just say the biggest challenge. So this is my first year in this position, and it's not necessarily a challenge, but just a learning curve of all the moving pieces that you have to be aware of, making sure everything's on time, especially in our virtual platform for this specific year. I'm sure it's going to be very similar as we move forward, but all those moving pieces, making sure that you're just on top of it, aware and communicating with who you need to communicate. But I echo all the fun stuff. There's so many good and rewarding moments that we'll have through this committee, leading up to, day of, and even after. So
I will add one thing just for more reflective of the chair positions of this committee is the financial responsibility that does come along with it. And,
Great point.
Spending an organization's money, not your own, is definitely nerve-wracking. Because you don't know the end product until the end product happens, right? You don't know what it'll be. So investing those resources in the right way and being good stewards of INACAC's finances, it definitely has a little bit of pressure to that.
No, but I think that's such a great point when we think about professional development. Like there may be an instance where you're in your second year in your office and maybe you're not in charge like a large stream of financial capital, and you're thinking like, how do I get that experience? And this can be a way that you can get some of that experience, that event planning, that money management, that community service. And like I think that's a really great thing that you could put on your resume. Like, this wasn't in my formal role, but in my professional development life I did some really, really big things from our organization. So that's a really great reason to want to join this committee. Yeah. Well, that's kind of concludes like the formal parts of this conversation. I think I did want to take a moment just to tell you guys that we are definitely cheering for you and excited about the virtual conference this year. As in all things are a little bit differently this year, and you guys are putting together a wonderful virtual conference for us. So anything you want to say about that before we wrap up?
I'll jump in first just because I am excited as well. And so that kind of just I wanted to get that out there right away. It's definitely a different year. And, Levi's mentioned that, it's virtual this year, which is something that we've never done before. So the opportunity that he and I have to put something together for the first time is pretty cool. Maybe just a little tad daunting, but really cool. We are working with a great vendor to provide us a portal for a conference. And they have been fabulous to work with so far. So we really do anticipate things coming off in a very professional manner, which was very important to Levi and myself when we sat down to just figure out how this was going to work. So that has been exciting. Signing on a couple great speakers to lead a session and to do a closing session. That's been great so far. So we think that it's going to hopefully, even though in a virtual world that we're living in now that not everyone's that excited about, conference itself is going to be very productive for us all.
Yeah, I think with it being virtual, I think one of our goals is to reach more.
Right.
There's something about being virtual. Maybe there's more capabilities of outreach. And with that comes the intentional focus of having good representation for the high school side, for the college side, making sure that we're talking about things that are important to students that are looking to come into college, financial aid, current climate of our economy, of our society. So just making sure that we are touching on all the important things within the sessions that we offer, but also show that what Angie and I and the committee are doing is an intentional focus to be as inclusive as possible, have good representation, good sessions that will reach a lot of different people that can allow them to be a part and eventually, hopefully, become members of INACAC.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I, for one, am excited about the virtual conference. I'm excited about conference every year. It is one thing that I circle on my calendar so early every year because I love everything about it. The professional development, meeting new counselors who are there for the first time. It's amazing when we're face to face. You can always walk around, check in, and you can immediately tell the people who've been a part of this for years because they see their friends and hey, how you doing? And some of the newer people, it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? What's going on? What's going to happen? And no matter where you are, by the end of it, you've had a great time between the people you've met or you hung with again, the things you've learned and what you're going to take back to your office. I always feel like that's good, really cool for anyone in this profession. So thank you guys for everything you do, whether it be face-to-face or virtual, whether it be the emails or planning what we're going to have for lunch or guest speakers, everything that you do and your entire committee. It's amazing. If someone would want to join this committee, what would their next steps be to join up with the conference planning committee?
Sure. So every year at conference, actually, there is information about encouraging people to volunteer, to submit volunteer forms through the website. So anybody can go out there anytime, really, to the website and fill out a volunteer form and tell us what you're interested in. And if you do check the conference committee, then as the new conference committee cycle starts, which generally is April-May timeframe of each year, you'll get a solicitation from the co-chairs there to join the committee. And again, as a committee member, you may not have a huge role, but your voice is definitely important to the process. So it is a good way for those who are really maybe hesitant about time commitment or being new to the organization, not sure, how much they can contribute. The committee is a good place to start, and a lot of connections can be made from there. But yeah, through the website, the form's out there anytime. But we do promote that during conference to say we need volunteers. So those of you guys that are willing, please jump in and let us know.
Awesome. Is that how Levi that's involved?
Yeah, I was just asking around different ways for me to get involved, and
okay.
Somebody said, "Hey, check this out," and it was one of those that I did, and I did this.
What's the word on the street? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been a great chance to get to know more about your committee, and we look forward to yet another wonderful conference this year. With that said, this is one of our videos that we're going to be doing this year just to highlight our committees. There will be plenty of them available on our YouTube page, and we'll add more and more as we make more and more. Thank you so much for being with us today, and take care. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you, Janaya.
No problem.